drop it.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Mania 4-Key World Cup 2022. We hope you guys have had a enjoyable break, got some food, rested up just a little bit before getting back right on into the action. And oh boy, do we have a very exciting matchup for you guys. We have our number 1 seed, Brazil, going up against Chile in the round of 16. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by Pataraj. Pataraj, how you doing today?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. It is right now midnight on the dot in France, and I am ready. I stayed up for this. I usually go to sleep at midnight or so, but tonight I'm not sleeping right now. I'm awake for this. I'm ready for this.
Yeah, very, very exciting matchups. A lot of very familiar faces. The entire Brazilian roster needs no introduction, and Chile, I think, doesn't need any introductions either. These players know each other so well, have participated in tournaments across the years. This is a very familiar matchup to the players involved, and it'll be very interesting to see if Chile can be the one to bring down this juggernaut that is Brazil.
Yeah, that is an entirely good question. If anyone really can take a point from Brazil, let me remind you of Brazil's absolutely destroying every single country out of the competition in the qualifiers. Brazil got almost all of the stages seed number 1. They only got seed number 2 in SV, I believe.
You're absolutely correct, losing out on SV by 3,000 points. That's the margin, the tiniest of margins on the SV pool, saving us from a clean Brazilian sweep. And it looks like the victories are going to start very early. Amaram winning the roll over Miyuka, 73-19, so Chile will get the first ban in these match proceedings. It'll be very interesting to see what they decide to get rid of here, because Brazil, you would imagine, are comfortable on everything.
Oh, Chile going for the SV ban. I would think that SV would be one of the ways to beat Brazil, actually, but maybe Chile does not have a confident SV lineup.
Maybe, at least for this round in particular. I know SV2 has been a bit of a pain point for a lot of teams so far this weekend. It is a very young weekend. We've only had a couple of matches so far under our belts, a lot of them jam-packed into the early Sunday morning, UTC time at least. So definitely only just getting started, and Brazil are going to be getting rid of free L-Town. So Rice 4 getting knocked out, wanting to get rid of that stamina-oriented pick, one of the longest maps in this pool. Cannot blame them for that.
Yeah, I think Brazil banned stamina with Muka in mind, especially. I believe that free L-Town would be one of the few maps where Muka could get maybe double digits, single digits, 300s.
Very true. I feel like that is... Free L-Town's a pretty standard pick in terms of jump stream. Nothing really gets thrown at you. It's really just a consistency test, and if there's anything Muka is, it is consistent. And as we speak, Brazil puts in their first pick. It is going to be Hybrid 2 getting selected here. It's going to be Crocus getting selected.
And I think starting with Hybrid is pretty typical of Brazil. Brazil is an incredibly all-rounded team, actually. They have everything covered, actually. Right now in the roster we see Amoram, Demifin. Demifin has been an incredible addition to the Brazilian team, by the way, so far. And the ever-lasting Lothus. Lothus has been here with us for many, many years. And on the other side, Muka, San, and Faz are going to be playing.
Yep, so two very strong rosters. It's really just going to come down to the overall consistency, and I feel like we're going to be talking about accuracy a lot during this matchup, because these players are capable of putting up some very, very high scores. Those 300 counts are going to be at a premium during this match, I would imagine.
Yeah, Cortex is actually an interesting pick. We will get some information about how Chile is doing on the hybrids, but I do believe that in terms of accuracy, Brazil should be pretty safe.
Yeah, it might just be wanting to test the waters a little bit, not wanting to commit too far onto either side of the map pool, nothing too full committed on the LNs, nothing too full committed on the Rice. Something nice and in the middle with the hybrids, and it looks like all the players are ready. We'll be getting into this first map of this best of 11, and it is going to be Crocus coming out here from Brazil. Let's see how the players do.
Muka with the mirror already, and Muka is prone to selecting mirror a lot on a fair amount of these maps.
I hope that's a client sync issue from Faz, because those are some pretty unfortunate misses to start the map off. I don't see the combo recovering. It looks like Chile has spotted Brazil. A couple of misses to start this match off. Not what you want to see here if you are a fan of the Chilean roster. It's going to be an uphill climb right from the get-go here.
But even without those misses, look at the Brazilian team. They are still... okay, I kind of cursed it because Amoram just went under the 99.9 territory. But still, they have very good accuracy. Amoram with an accuracy drop, maybe a 200 here and there.
Yeah, just maybe spiking some of those releases as they read their way through the patterns. Nothing pales in comparison to the Chileans so far. Zan and Faz doing their best to try and stay lockstep with the Brazilians. Muka, ever the stalwart for the Chilean roster, 99.9, trying to keep their heads above water as we make our way into the back half of the map, and the lead has only grown for the Brazilians so far out of the transition into this more LN structured section here.
Yeah, the battle that is interesting to
Muka.
Watch. Yeah, I was gonna say the battle that is gonna be kind of important to watch is Lothus versus Muka, but Muka just missed, so it was kind of a mental curse in some sort.
They pre-felt the curse oncoming and missed for you. But that being said, it was a very clean miss, but unfortunately it is going to be a bit of a nail in the coffin for this run. Last sliver of map left to go. Still highest accuracy for Chile. And back up over that 400 combo cap, gonna be able to stem the bleeding just a little bit, but this consistency from the Brazilian roster, Demi and Lothus, locking it down. Amaram not too far behind as well. Zan does find a drop, but it is pretty much written in stone as we make our way into the last bit of the map. The Brazilians are gonna start this match off with a very convincing 1-0.
Yeah, worth noticing that Faz actually caught up to Zan in terms of accuracy towards the end with 4 misses right at the beginning, maybe a false start of sort for Faz. But look at the amount of 200s. Single-digit 200s on this kind of map is actually pretty impressive. But yeah, look at the Brazilian results.
Yeah, double-digit 300s from Lothus. I feel like that's a common thread throughout these early game stages, but still it is just ridiculous seeing the overall team scores that Brazil can put up. But thankfully for Chile, that was Brazil's pick, so just basically trying to navigate that as best as they could so they can get back into something that's more comfortable for them here. Be interested to see what they go for, and it's gonna be Rationalist, so opting for the Rice Pool, something a little bit more tech oriented as well.
Regarding the results of Crocus, there was one little thing I noticed also. Demifine getting 105 300s and Nuka getting 108. If Nuka didn't miss, they would have been very close in terms of scores.
Yeah, that just goes to show you that, I mean, the best on one side is basically the average for the other. That's the level to which Brazil performs at, and as Rationalist comes out, Demi is going to check out. Silly Fangirl is going to make their appearance here for this round of 16 matchup.
Yeah, for those watching for the first time this kind of World Cup, let me remind you of the format. This is a 3 players versus 3 players, but all of the countries have a maximum of 6 members in their roster, and they can switch whenever, like for each and every pick.
Yep, it leads to some very interesting compositions, and it looks like there aren't going to be any substitutions for the Chileans. Muka, Zan, and Faz all staying in here, so only Silly making the cameo appearance for right now. See if Chile can notch this up or Brazil can take the first breakpoint in this match. Already a much cleaner start for Faz, not spotting any misses at the start of the map. Oh, and as I say that, they find the first drop. Oh my goodness, I'm just gonna stay quiet here. Oh no, it's already begun.
Yeah, this map is much more mini jack oriented, and the snaps are much more friendlier. And I guess the technicality is the technicality in the snaps are less I guess disruptive, especially for Muka, who is at 99.96 right now. This is the kind of map that Muka is gonna get really correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically dead center on their UR bar. Highest accuracy in the lobby, even above the Brazilians here. But the overall team performance from Brazil is giving them the lead as we make our way into the back half of the map. Double 99.9s for Brazil to the singular one from Chile. Fast falling a little bit behind after finding that miss. 99.4, still on the recovery run here. But it's going to be a long road to climb going into the last minute of this map.
Yeah, to think that Lothus can actually match Muka in this type of map. This is the quote-unquote 1v1 to watch for Lothus versus Muka. 2 very, very strong accuracy players on this quarterfinals. Sorry, round of 16 pool.
Almost quarterfinals. Thankfully, this is a winner's bracket matchup, so not a lot on the line for these teams. Just going to be dropping down into that lower bracket if you do find yourself on the losing end of this match. But that being said, as we make our way into the last quarter of the map, we have seen the accuracy start to stabilize. Zan doing their best to try and stay in lockstep with Amaram, but Amaram is winning that battle. The entire Brazilian roster is winning the battle overall. And as we make our way into the last sliver of map, despite this incredible run from Miyuka so far, 99.98, still the highest in the lobby, it is not going to be enough. The overall consistency from this Brazilian roster, it needs to be repeated multiple times, is just too much to handle, and they go up 2-0 now. 25 300s!
Oh wow, that's less than my age.
Oh my goodness, that's one shy of mine. That's scary.
Oh yeah,
63 from Lothus as well. But
yeah.
oh my goodness.
Most of the time, the amount of 300s will be greater than everyone's age. But right now, Muka is just dwarfing us.
Oh my goodness. Wait, also that's a three-way V1SS for Brazil.
Oh yeah, very impressive. You can see how Brazil is as a team. Like it is a thing to have one very strong carry. For example, Chile has Muka, of course, but what is important in a World Cup is how you perform as a team. Brazil is showing the perfect example of that. Shoutouts to Zan as well. 200s on this map is actually quite impressive to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Chile's team performance as well. Very good overall against most other teams would have been enough for a point, but oh my goodness, being up against a brick wall, it is very hard to make inroads here as Brazil is up to pick once again. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to go with here, if they might stay in this hybrid pool, if they go one way or the other.
Yeah, honestly, against Brazil, you would think that teams would practice SV to kind of get the upper hand somehow, but maybe this is not Chile's strategy, or maybe they focus their efforts towards butterfly twist.
Maybe it remains to be seen. Still waiting on the pick here.
Yeah, right now this is Brazil's pick, I believe, and Brazil might opt for an LN, because I do believe that long notes should be to the advantage of Brazil, with long-standing names such as Amaram, also known as Andre MC in the past, and some new names like vv15.
And as you say that, they decide to go for Butterfly Twist, completely subverting expectations, opting to go into SV pick. Oh boy, this is going to be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see who comes in for this. Already seeing some substitutions across the board. Knifelock's checking in for Chile. Demi and Lemarcinho coming in for Brazil.
Yeah, Demi actually coming for Chile to help them a little bit. Demi's actually really strong in SV. I'm really surprised, actually.
Yeah, just completely blasted onto the scene in the past year, has been making inroads across tournaments during this year, as I said, providing replays for a lot of tournaments, and their overall accuracy is just monstrous for these early game rounds.
Alright, it's quite interesting to see that a lot of countries have dedicated SV players for their roster. It seems that Marcinho might be one of them for Brazil, especially. But Marcinho, as a player, has also been very strong throughout the past year in other tournaments. I've seen Marcinho also help in staffing in some tournaments.
For sure. I think their overall skill sets have broadened in the past year. Of course, they were on that winning Brazilian roster last year as well, so it's only gotten better as time has progressed, and it looks like Chile are just waiting for Wrist to get moved over into the tournament server. So while we wait on them, it'll be interesting to see how Chile performs. We were expecting Chile to be the ones to pick this because of the overall matchups. Might have fared a little bit better in a more wild card sort of setting. Some of the gimmicks found in the map could trip up even the best players, especially in a pressure situation. So the fact that Brazil has picked this is very interesting overall.
Yeah, to talk a little bit more about the contents of Butterfly Twist, extended mix cut version. This pick is slightly more reading oriented than the other one, Me and You. And as a reading oriented kind of pick, the key point to watch for in this point is going to be especially on the accuracy department.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you joining us for the first time, we talk a lot about acronyms and things that are happening. The SV picks, short for slider velocity. Basically, it plays with the scroll speed of the notes coming down. So if you do see the screen stuttering throughout this map, it's not the stream, it's not the clients messing up. That is actually intended, and the players have to read through that to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, scrolling velocity maps have been a fan favorite for many years, and this year, as a reminder, we're bringing a custom mapped roster of SV maps. Thank you to Not Applicable for working with us this year.
Yeah, for sure. And as we get into the first drop, it looks like everybody fares very well throughout that intro. Wrist lagging a little bit behind in terms of accuracy compared to the rest of the lobby, but that can be forgiven. These SV picks are very brutal. Might have found a couple extra 200s through the intro. And Demi and Amaram in that 99.8% range really doing the damage here for Brazil as we get into the first break.
Yeah, Brazil right now really showing this number 2 seeding in SV. Marcinho dropping a tiny bit of accuracy, going below 99.7, but catching it right back.
Yeah, that is basically the entirety of the lead right now going into the second, third, and Wrist is going to find a drop right before the build-up, and that's going to hurt a lot. There aren't a lot of notes in these SV picks, so getting back up over that 400 combo cap is going to be a bit of a task here. Going to increase the lead for Brazil as we get into this next drop. Second half of the map still to go.
Miyuka still at 99.82, which is actually matching Amaram and Demifine. Oh, just as I say that, Miyuka is actually dropping a little bit towards 99.75.
Yeah, a couple of 200s on those sliders. It's very hard to time those releases sometimes, especially when the stutter happens during the hold. So can't be forgiven here. You're going to be able to climb back up relatively quickly. But as it stands, Knife Locks and Wrist really need to build up the accuracy in this last third if they want to try and contest, and they're going to need to hope for some breaks from this Brazilian lineup if they want to try and make some inroads in this lead that they have built up. But Wrist is going to be the one dropping on the transition.
Wrist really getting trapped by this transition. It's as if, well, to get this type of transition, you really get, you really have to go in training to really properly expect this kind of transition. And this kind of transition is actually quite common in SV maps. So as an SV player, if you played a lot of maps, you'll get to expect this kind of transition.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're not faring too well on these LN sections, seeing a lot of 200s and 100s coming out from them. And I mean, this has been a bit of a runaway here for Brazil. This SV pick really working out in their favor. Another drop from Wrist is going to seal the deal here as Brazil moves up 3-0.
And let's look at the scores on this SV map. Wow, the ratios are actually very, very closely tied between Amaram, Demifine, and Miyuka. Miyuka getting the best ratio of the room with 223 300s. And as far as 200 count goes, Demifine is actually getting the win. 992,484 score.
Yeah, some incredible runs overall. That map is not easy despite the players making it look as easy as they do. It's just the caliber of play that they're able to put forth. But it is going to be Chile's next pick, an opportunity to try and notch a point on the board. But really, what do you have to work with here? The SVs are gone, thankfully, so they don't have to deal with that anymore. But where do you go from here?
Oh, looking at the chat, it seems that someone did not have as much time as they would have liked to train this SV map. SV maps do require a fair amount of training, and well, if if you don't have as much time as you want, then it's kind of unfortunate. Let's pray for their well-being, and let's go on to the next map, which is going to be Streaming Hearts.
Alrighty, so still opting to go for these rice picks, wanting to bank on the overall consistency compared to the LNs. You'd imagine we're going to see Faz check back in for Gile to back up both Miyuka and Knifeblocks. Lothus coming in for the Brazilians. Oh, but it's going to be Zan. Okay, so Zan instead of Faz for this one.
It's going to be very interesting to watch because Miyuka is definitely able to get some insane ratio on this. We've seen 25 on, I believe, Rationalist before. What is going to be the number on this one? What do you think?
If I were to harken a guess, I would say 87. I feel like that's a solid number for a map like this, but I mean, to be fair, I put the benchmark out there and these players just defy expectations left and right, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they came under that number.
Yeah, thing is, Streaming Hearts, this is not the first tournament featuring this map. We've seen this map in another tournament, a 1v1 tournament called Soft 6, actually. I think it was at 1.0, however. So the results are going to be a little bit different this time, but I do believe that Miyuka is able to get sub 50 300 on this one.
It remains to be seen. Let's see how the teams do. It is going to be Amaram, Sillyfangor, and Lothus going against Miyuka, Knifeblocks, and Zan on Streaming Heart. Can Chile get their first point, or will Brazil take a commanding 4-0 lead? Let's see what happens.
Well, I've talked about Miyuka, but what about Lothus, though? I think Lothus is also able to get sub 100, at least, at the very least.
Oh, for sure. They're going to be neck and neck, and right now Lothus holding on to that 100%, has yet to drop a normal 300 so far. 200 notes in. It'll be interesting to see how far they can go before they drop that first one and drop down to the realm of the mortals.
Alright, let's watch Lothus for now. Let's watch this score v1 score. Literally
playing with auto right now. Sillyfangor not too far behind. 99.97 and Miyuka 99.99. This is a map that brings out the best in players. They are very comfortable on jump stream maps like this. And it's really going to be a matter of who catches the first 200. It's going to make all the difference as Zan and Knifeblocks try and back up Miyuka here going into the second third of this map.
Yeah, what's interesting to note is that Lothus actually went... Oh no, why did I talk about Lothus right now? Oh my god. So, what I was going to say... Anyways, what I was going to say is that Lothus's accuracy actually went below Miyuka as soon as the jump stream started, so maybe Lothus is prone to a little bit of a physicality detriment compared to Miyuka on this one.
Maybe, but they're back up with that 400 combo cap. Able to stem the bleeding just a little bit. That scoreboard got a little bit erratic, trending over to the right, but Brazil is able to keep it in check for now. The overall accuracies from Sillyfangor and Amaram backing up Lothus despite the miss, and Knifeblocks and Zan needing to pick up the pace a little bit just to try and make some inroads. But as that transition, Zan finds the drop, and that is going to be very bad news for this Chilean roster as we make it into the last quarter of the map. Despite the best efforts from Miyuka, still holding on to the highest accuracy in this lobby, 99.99. It is not enough as it stands. Last chorus to go, last quarter of map. Still a lot to play for if any misses come out from this Brazilian roster, but it's going to be Chilean Knifeblocks.
No! Why do you keep doing this?
It happens. There are very fine margins to work with. Under a microscope, it would probably be inconsequential. This is a very good performance overall from the Chileans, but when you're up against a team as strong as Brazil, you cannot afford to slip up even once. And even with your best player putting up the performance of a lifetime, it is not going to be enough as Brazil goes up 4-0 now.
Let's see the results. 22-39!
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. What are these players? These people are not from this planet. Dare I say they're extraterrestrial? Oh my goodness. That
I
is with a
mean,
miss as well.
I mean, the numbers from Brazil are actually insane. 39, 71, and 112. 112 is an amount of 300s that countries would kill for.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you would take any one of those scores for your top player. The fact that all three players from Brazil can put up a score like that is incredible. And it just, I mean, what can you say? We're going to run out of superlatives at some point to describe the level of performance that Brazil has been putting up so far this tournament. And it just goes to show how good they are. And during all of that, as we recover, they're going to opt to go for some LNs here. It's going to be Sludge coming out to try and make this a match point situation. And immediately the substitutions come out for Chile. Yandarin is going to be checking in here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see all of the players getting used for each respective countries. It really shows that every single player in the country's roster has been chosen among potentially dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of candidates. No, not thousands. What am I talking about? I think there were only like 500 applicants for NWC. Anyways, it really goes to show that the 6 players for each respective countries have been chosen for very good reasons.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, the level of performance that all these players are able to put on are like unfathomable. Like, they have been pushing the bar for the overall difficulty of these tournaments. They make these maps look like child's play sometimes, and that is just a credit to the amount of work that they put in. And it looks like we have the rosters finalized. It's going to be Amaram, Le Marcinho, and Demifiend, a very formidable LN focused roster going up against Muka, Yandarin, and Faz CL, another very formidable roster on the LNs.
Yeah, I do wonder, how do you pronounce the doubled letters in sludge? Do you pronounce like sludge?
I think that's pretty correct. You gotta draw it out just a little bit here. And oh boy, I remember I was describing this map outside of the stream as it feels like you're having a bit of a panic attack, because the BPM starts to increase and everything starts to get a little bit more frenetic, and what's being asked of you just gets more and more complicated, and trying to hang on as these players are. It'll be interesting to see who hangs on for the longest.
Oh wow, every single accuracy from Brazil is actually outshadowing Chile right now. Even Muka is not really comfortable on this map compared to the Brazilian team. But, well, Muka is already getting back to 99.8, which is really good. Okay, that's gonna be a tie of accuracy. Oh my god, that's a huge accuracy drop from Marcinho. Oh my god.
Yeah, finding a lot of 200s and 100s on those releases, it's very tricky handling that section, because you get one release wrong and that kills the entire section, as you saw there. But thankfully they have the support of Demi and Amaram, who fared very well throughout that section. And as it stands, moving into the last third of the map, Marcinho's overall accuracy dwarfing 2 of the Chilean players despite the misses and those bad judgments, and Brazil hangs on to the lead here. Last quarter of the map still to go. Despite the 3 FCs on the side of Chile, the overall accuracy is just too much to handle right now, as Brazil is currently in cruise control.
I don't even want to look at Demifiend's accuracy right now. I just want to cover my screen with my hand right now.
Yeah, just everybody put your hand over Demi's playfield, because it is going to be a very disgusting score what you are about to see. Last sliver of map upcoming, and Brazil makes it 5-0 match point situation, and I dare not guess what their ratio was. It's 63.
It's a long notes map. It's an Ellen map. You don't get this ratio on an Ellen map. What is this?
Okay, for everybody else, they get those crazy scores. on rice maps. Demi is built different. They get these kinds of disgusting ratios on LN maps. How? How do you do these sorts of things?
Also worth noting the very close scores, well, ratios from Amuram and Muka. Actually, quite interesting that Amuram and Muka actually matches each other in terms of LN accuracy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can call back to Soft 6. I believe they went up against each other, and that match went down to the wire. So unsurprising that they are basically neck and neck in terms of their overall scores. But with that being said, it's going to be Chile up to pick next, going to be able to decide what they want to try and make this comeback on. It has to be the comeback of all comebacks to try and force a tiebreaker situation against Brazil of all teams. Again, a very unenviable task for anybody involved, but Chile has to do it.
Yeah, I believe that from the results of Streaming Heart, I believe that Chile had a chance on Streaming Heart ever since Lothus actually dropped combo. When Lothus dropped combo, if Chile had the full team full combo, if with enough accuracy caught back up, it would have been an occasion to grab a point.
Absolutely. And look, ooh, okay, this is going to be an interesting pick. Formless Canvas going to be the choice for Chile to try and start this comeback here. A bit different compared to the other two LN picks in terms of what's being asked of you. A little bit more physically challenging with what you're being asked to do in between all the holds. So, a bit of a curveball here. Be interested to see how they do. I highly doubt there's going to be any substitutions for either of these countries.
Yeah, this is another long notes map, but as a long notes pick, this is quite different from the other ones, Sludge and Dawnfold. Thing is, this long notes map is actually more of a quote-unquote wildcard, kind of a formless canvas, if you will.
Absolutely, very aptly named, and it makes you feel it's very easy to drop at very unexpected places, just based on the patterning. And as we wait for the players to get ready, it'd be very interesting to see if we see any accuracy drops on the more complex LN structures found, and if Chile can capitalize on them. It almost happened during Sludge, is the fact that Demi exists to back up any sort of blunders from the side of Brazil. So it's gonna have to happen. The comeback needs to become real for Chile to force a tiebreaker, and it starts with Formless Canvas.
Yeah, actually, one of the best chances for Chile to grab a point would be Brazil choking. Maybe once, maybe twice, maybe a couple of times, because Formless Canvas as a pick is very chokeable.
Absolutely, and we didn't see the hottest of starts from the Chileans, Jandarin and Faz, both in that 99.3% range, climbing up now as the map begins to progress, but definitely chopped a couple of releases, maybe dropped a couple of extra 200s throughout that first quarter of the map. And I mean, it's just the epitome of consistency from Brazil. 99.84 the lowest, and Faz finds the first drop here, first couple of drops going into the second third of the map.
Yeah, that was 2 misses in a row. That's very fatal for, especially against a team like Brazil, which really doesn't miss.
And if they do, it's the cleanest miss of all time, and it barely affects the accuracies. I mean, what can you do to make a dent in the armor of this Brazilian composition? It is beyond words at this point as we make our way into the last third of the map, and they're all within that 99.9% range. Muka doing everything in their power to carry this Chilean roster. 99.3 on their end. Highest, basically contesting Demi so far for highest accuracy in the lobby, probably highest score overall as well. But when you have players like Le Marcinho and Amaron backing you up, it is basically, as I say that, Amaron does find a slip up here, but it is too little too late into this map to make any sort of difference. And as this map begins to wind down, it is going to be the clean 6 6-0 victory for Brazil.
Okay, let's see the racers right now. 106 versus 110. Those are very close scores between Miyuka and Demifiend. What's actually interesting to note is that Miyuka is actually much better on this map than on Sludge, comparatively in terms of lens.
Yeah, a little bit more straightforward structuring. The release timing not as awkward. Definitely played a bit of a factor there, but it is not to be the comeback not going to happen, and Brazil makes it look easy, 6-0 against a very formidable Chilean roster.
Yeah, that was a very good showing of consistency, skill, accuracy, and really, really tremendous performances. We've seen some incredible scores from all players involved.
Absolutely, but with that being said, not the end of the road for Chile, just dropping down into that lower bracket, so we will be seeing them once again for the quarterfinals, and Brazil punching their ticket into that winner's side quarterfinals. It's going to be a tall task for anybody to take a point off of this team, but as the map pools get harder, maybe there's something there. But with that being said, that'll do it for this tiny block of one match. And Patiraj, if there's one thing I enjoy more than watching these players go at it during this World Cup, it's decorating my OS profile. And how can I decorate my OS profile even more?
Well, that is a very good question. You can buy some OSU banners for your country. And I do believe that Brazil and Chile, we are watching you. We know that those countries have their fair amount of support. And if you are really in favor of supporting your country, if you are really into it, you can actually go to the Yosu store and get yourself a banner of your favorite country. It does not even have to be your own. You can support Brazil right from Vietnam or France or the United States or I don't know, Japan.
Somewhere. And you can even support teams that have already been eliminated. So if you're a die-hard Romania or Norway fan or any other team that might get knocked out this weekend, you can also buy a banner for them, show your support, and let them know if you had them in your heart. And there is also another way to support the prize pool for this tournament. We have the Open Collective, where you can donate any amount of money. If you want to show more than just $2.50 worth of support, you can actually donate a custom amount, and all proceeds will go towards the prize pools for the players for this Osmania 4Key World Cup. But with that being said, our next match is going to be at 1 UTC, just shy of 2 hours from now. And Patiraj, unless you have anything else to say?
Come to Brazil.
Come to Brazil. We'll see y'all later.